Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Daily Devotion and Motivation YouTube channel, and our title is The Riches of the Old Testament. Turn my heart toward your statutes and not toward selfish gain. Turn my eyes away from worthless things. Preserve my life according to your word. Psalm 119, 36 and 37. Sadly, many people find the Old Testament confusing and hard to understand. Some even wonder if it has any value to those of us living on this side of the cross. But the Old Testament is God's Word, just as much as the New Testament, and He wants to teach and encourage us through it. For example, we learned that God made the world, including you and me. We also learned how sin entered the world and why Jesus Christ had to die on the cross for our salvation. The Old Testament also helps us understand how we should live. For example, we can learn much from studying the lives of its main characters, including their failures. Don't worry about the parts you don't understand. Instead, ask God to help you learn from the parts you can understand. If you have never really studied the Old Testament, begin with the book of Psalm, the hymn book of the Old Testament, or Proverbs, the Old Testament's guide to practical living. Thank God for the entire Bible, and make it a part of your life every day. Wisdom for today. Lord, open our minds to understand the Scriptures from beginning to end, for the entirety of your word is truth. Psalm 119, 160. With a lot of new believers and even people who just aren't Christians at all, just find the Old Testament to be confusing. And does it really even apply today? But truth be told, the New Testament constantly quotes Old Testament scriptures. Jesus himself quoted Old Testament scriptures when he was tempted by Satan. And also he quotes Old Testament scriptures when he's teaching against multitudes of people. So the Old and New Testament are both equally God's Word. And also, to better help understand the Old Testament, what I do during the mornings is I read one chapter of Proverbs every morning and 5 chapters of Psalm. And what that does for me is it gets me through the entire book of both Proverbs and Psalm basically within an entire 30-day month, such as September this last month and November this coming month. I can get through both books in basically exactly 30 days by doing that. And what that does is Proverbs and Psalm are some of the more straightforward Old Testament books. And if we can learn from those books of the Old Testament, that can help us to learn more about other books of the Old Testament. So I encourage you to start in those 2 books today. Well, I hope you have enjoyed listening to today's devotion, and if you'd like to listen to any more, then be sure to hit that subscribe button down below so you'll never miss any more devotions. I'm Carson. Keep listening, and I'll see you here again tomorrow.